Discover what drives your every decision and learn how to make a great decision. Damon here with NLP Gym, Values and Criteria Elicitation. Before I get into that, if you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. Values. As far back as Friedrich Nietzsche, or rather I should say Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, was one of the first people to start talking about values and really putting attention on what you value. And especially during the human potential movement in the 1970s, values became very important. And NLP took it a step further and started looking at, well, how do you know when you have the value that you value? And so that's what the criteria part comes in. Once again, I have an assistant, Natasha, and she's going to help demonstrate values elicitation and criteria elicitation. And the really cool thing about Natasha is she has no NLP training. So do you have any idea what I'm talking about so far?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. So she's never done this process before, which can make this a lot of fun. And it's also not like she's staged and she's going to just give me the answers I want her to give me. You'll get to see what it's like when you're doing a real values elicitation and criteria elicitation. So is there anything that you want?
Lots of things.
Okay, so just pick something you want, and it doesn't have to be, it could be something very trivial, it could be something rather, it could be very materialistic, it doesn't matter. We can pretty much work with almost anything.
Okay.
All right, so what is it?
To be successful in my career.
Okay, so she wants to be successful in a career, which success is actually a value in itself, but we can explore this a little bit further. So if you were successful in your career, what would that do for you?
It would make me feel good about myself. It would give me the financial means to do what I want to do.
Okay.
And it would make me feel like I achieved something in life.
Okay. So she actually gave us two values, and she gave criteria. The two values was to feel good about herself and to achieve, and then the criteria was the financial stability. Stability is a value, the financial part is more criteria. So if we look at the stability part and we looked at the achievement part and the feel good about yourself part, which one is most important to you if you can only have one?
Feel good about myself.
Feel good about yourself. Okay. And what's important about feeling good about yourself?
It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I can do anything I want.
Okay. So once again, this is interesting. She went to a value, and then she went to the criteria. Not all the time will people do that. Sometimes they'll just go straight values. And in fact, that's probably what's going to happen most of the time. So to feel happy is the value. To be able to do whatever she wants is the criteria. And happiness is a really high value. So a lot of times that's as high as it goes, but we're going to keep checking with her to see if there's a higher logical level value on this. So if you were happy, what would that allow you to be, to do, or to have?
I'd feel more free to live the life I want and to do things I want. So I wouldn't feel closed off. I wouldn't feel like I can't have something that I want. It would just make me, I feel like it would make me feel like I have all these possibilities.
Okay. So she gave us a little bit of a mixture, but the thing that stood out, I think, was to feel free, and freedom is a really high value. So she's given us a few values here that we can work with. So happiness, freedom, feel good about yourself. If you could only have one, which one would you choose?
Happiness.
Happiness. And so out of freedom and feeling good about yourself, Which one, if you could only have one, would you choose?
Freedom.
So now we know the hierarchy of these values. Her highest value in this situation is freedom, happiness, and then freedom, and then to feel good about herself. So this tells us a lot about what drives her decisions, especially when it comes to the context of a career. She might have different values depending on what context we're talking about, but these are pretty high-level values. I have a sense here that these are probably the values that drive most of her decisions, even context to context. So if I was to offer you a career that would give you autonomy and you'd have a lot of freedom within that career, you'd better make a good amount of money, which would give you also some financial freedom, and it was something that you could do that would make you very happy and feel good about yourself. Would that be something you would be interested in?
Yeah.
And if you can see her physiology, so her eyes brighten up when she just hears those words, because I'm using her words and giving them back to her, and these are her values, the words that she represents, her values. So if I were to try to sell you something, I could package them in these values, and it would be very hard for her to resist that. And this is what good salespeople do. So that's the values part of it. Well, let's say this: if you were happy and free and felt really good about yourself, what would be important about that?
I'd feel fulfilled.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Great. And fulfillment is another value as well, and it might even be higher than these values here. And when I teach transforming yourself, the whole idea behind that workshop is to find those highest values of yours so that you can live them, and it doesn't take going out and doing something specific or achieving something to fulfill those values. You can do that right now. And when you do that, you feel very fulfilled, and you also attract a lot of the things that you value, even the material objects and money as well. So we're going to take this more into the criteria. And criteria, so with values, you're asking what's important about, or or what does that allow you to do, to have, to be. So that moves us up the logical levels. Now we're going to we're going to take a different slant on this and look at how does she know what she knows. So criteria questions are usually, how do you know when you have? So happiness, which is a very high value of yours, how do you know when you have happiness or when you're happy?
I feel it.
Okay.
I don't know how I know.
All right, so this is very typical. People are going to say they just feel it. In sensory experience, what would you see, what would you hear, or what would you feel? And that could be a tactile sensation, or that could be an internal sensation. And if it's an internal sensation, where is it in your body and what does it feel like?
Here.
It's here. Okay.
Yeah.
And is it warm or is it cool?
Yeah, it's warm. It feels, just feel calm and balanced, and
So I'm just going to stop you right there. So she says calm and balanced, but we don't know what that feels like, because we have our own feelings of what calm and balance feel like. So what the sensation, though, is that it's warm. And does it have a weight to it? Is it heavy or is it light?
It's not heavy, but it feels like good. It's like it has a weight, but not heavy or light. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a movement to it?
What I always imagine is like a gold light, like here.
Okay.
Or like going through here.
So we're really unpacking the submodalities here. A gold light, and she's talking about it feels like it has some sort of weight there. These are the submodalities of it, but these are also the sensory-based experiences that she has of happiness. Rather than saying it's calm and it's balanced, well, those are values, how she's interpreting. That's how she's making meaning of what we're talking about. But instead, we want to know the exact sensations. So, are you feeling that right now?
To some extent.
Yeah, so when you start talking about it and you start explaining what you're feeling, a lot of times it starts to happen. So this also lets you know that, and I say this a lot, happiness and many other things are an inside job that you created. Even though sometimes we think that external circumstances are creating it, it has to come from us first. So let's also talk about freedom. So how would you know if you were free?
what I would feel again. Or,
What would you see, hear, or feel? So in sensory-based experience, how would you know that you're free? Have you ever felt free before?
it's linked to feeling happy. I don't know,
Sure.
It's not a separate feeling, it's...
But freedom and happiness are different.
Yeah, I don't know, just they're linked when I'm happy and I feel free. I don't know.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be a feeling. It could actually be something that's happening in your environment or something you're doing.
I think when I feel free, I feel like there are possibilities and I feel confident in myself.
Okay, so more values. So have you ever done an activity that felt freeing? Or visited somewhere, or had some sort of experience where you felt free?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you know that you were free? Or is there something that you do that makes you feel free?
I think it's just a feeling here. I don't know, I can't really explain it.
So when you think about an experience where you felt free,
Yeah.
what were you doing, or what were you seeing and hearing and feeling?
The exact situation.
If it's too private, then you don't have to say it.
No, like I was with friends, and we were on a boat, at night, and there was something about it. It was warm, and it was my friends, and it was the wind, and I don't know. It was just this feeling of being open and free, and I don't know. It's hard to explain where I felt.
So we could take this a little bit further, and we could start modeling how exactly she created this feeling, which we don't have time to go into, and this is not a video about modeling. But you should start to get a sense of what her criteria is for feeling free. And freedom is a huge value, so you could take a very long time to really unpack that. We could also use, so feeling good about yourself. How do you know when you feel good about yourself?
You feel open, you feel like you want to talk to people and interact and go and get involved and do things. And you'd feel like whatever you did, it would come out well. Like you wouldn't be worrying about things. You wouldn't be doubting yourself.
Okay. So what we're discovering here is her values, and then how she knows when she's experiencing these values, which can be very powerful, that she can use in her own life, or if I were trying to persuade her, or if I were doing sales, then I know how to package what it is I'm selling. So people fulfill their values in different ways, and how they fulfill their values is their criteria. And if we assume that everyone shares our same values, and we assume that everyone shares the same criteria of how to get to those values, that's where we run into trouble a lot of times, and we run into disconnect and how we don't understand other people. So knowing your values will let you know why you make the decisions that you make. Knowing how you go about fulfilling those values is the criteria. And it's very good information to know, because a lot of times this is unconscious, and we make decisions unconsciously, and we go about trying to fulfill our values unconsciously, and when we don't, it becomes very, very frustrating. So sometimes we need to change up the criteria. Sometimes we need to understand that how we're going about seeking a value isn't going to work, or the value that we're seeking can be done in a much better way. So what did you think about this experience as far as feeling the values as you're describing or answering my questions?
When you were saying when I was describing how I felt when I was happy, like it made me feel like that when I was describing it. When you were saying it, I could feel it, like I could feel it here, and I could feel the light.
And just by describing it, you have to then access it. And then when you access it, you're actually creating that feeling. And hopefully you understand that you have the ability to conjure that feeling anytime you want. And it comes from within, not like some sort of stimulus outside of us makes us happy and free and feeling good about ourselves. If you haven't already, please check out our website, nlp-gym.com. Please follow us on YouTube. You'll get real-time updates on our trainings and our free practices, and you'll get these videos as well. And if you're more of a YouTube person, please subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. Take care.